G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. Today we are reviewing round 5, giving out our bogs and our flogs, answering some of your questions. We're going to go through some targets for trades, some downgrade targets, and also go through the news of the week. Let's go!
Just done it from nowhere. Lifted the goal from inside the centre. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Brown Teddy. Petrarca. Oh, wow. How good is that? The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey, and you can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy, joined by Luke. Again, how are you, mate?
I'm good, I'm going good. Back at school today.
Oh, yes, holidays are over.
Any other teachers in Queensland will be feeling me. I was just looking, I already got a bit of bloody colour and out doing some PE today.
Okay.
It's all happening.
Hard yakka.
Hard yakka. Mate, what have I always said? Overworked and underpaid.
You have mentioned that once or twice.
And we don't get enough holidays. That's the other thing I'll say about teachers.
Yeah. We're not time to
we're going to lose subscribers. They're like these funny
fantasy.
teachers complaining.
Yeah.
But big weekend of footy as well.
Mate, it was a big weekend. It stretched a few days, obviously the Thursday night. Big gather round, and it's been confirmed that it's going to be in South Australia until 2026.
And I saw a tweet from you. You're not happy with that?
Look, obviously, I think South Australia obviously did a really good job. I wasn't there. I would be very happy for it to be there next year. Look, I am very keen to go there next year. But I think after that, maybe just share the love a little bit. But I know there's obviously money and politics involved and things like that. But I thought that the point of the gather around was to, get different parts of Australia, different things involved, so you can share and expand the sport. But
I guess it's what you see is the point, and lots of different people had different opinions on Twitter. This week I'm really neither here nor there. I just love watching footy. So.
But no doubt, I think it was a big success. I think Adelaide put on a great show, and even despite the weather, obviously sold out crowds and
all good reports. I heard. So
we definitely got to get down there next year, mate. I tell you what,
we'll have to.
But let's talk about round 4. Oh, was it round 5?
Round 5. You're a week behind.
Yeah, week behind. But let's start our round 5 review with a bit of this.
And the winner of the Norm Smith Medal.
You're an embarrassment to what you do, mate. You're an embarrassment.
Yes, some of these guys were an embarrassment, but they also were some of our best for the weekend. So bogs and flogs we'll go through today, mate. Do you want to...
leading off the round was Adelaide and Carlton, and Adelaide just put on an absolute spectacle. And the bloke who led that spectacle was a player that we both love to watch, and that's Jordan Dawson. I don't think there'd be anybody who would disagree with him being our best on ground.
Pretty clear bog there.
He's an incredible footballer, and I'm so happy that they've put him in the midfield now so we can see exactly what he can
talent.
do.
Yeah. And just the way he's finding guys and that, his inside 50 kicks, it was just, very, very good. So I don't think he's going to be moving out of the midfield anytime soon. Flog for this game, there wasn't too many flog behaviours. I felt a bit harsh given to some of the rookies that maybe underperformed, but I will say Adam Sard is the winner of the flog award for this award, just because he didn't step up.
Yeah,
Doherty out. I just wanted him to do a bit more, maybe present as another alternative option for us in defence. But
I think he'd be a bit sad to hear that.
Oh, Jesus.
Mate.
Lay up.
That only took me half an hour to write. That's a hard one to pick a flog for. I don't remember much floggish behaviour.
Too many. I mean, you could have said maybe a flog behaviour for Luke Pedlar and his -3 second and third quarters combined, but again...
Yeah, he's a rook.
You say he's 47 at the end of the day, it's probably about where he'd have him pegged. So,
you're happy with that.
Not too much of an issue there. So let's move on to the next one, the first Friday game, Frio versus Gold Coast, now, best on ground.
Frio Gold Coast, I don't know why we keep putting ourselves through watching Hayden Young. It's tough, and he seems to save his score every week, but anyway, I digress, because I'm meant to be doing the bogs.
Yeah, well,
I just love talking about Hayden Young. The best on ground for me from Frio, and for the people that own him, it's just been beautiful the last couple of weeks, and that's Caleb Sarong.
Yeah, I think he's been a great pick.
Yeah, and he's just kind of stepped into everything that we saw almost from Brayshaw last year, didn't we? So
has he overtaken Brayshaw? I mean, he's scoring more. He's averaging more than him. I think
it's so hard to say off a 5-game sample. You're not going to sit here and come out and say he's a better player in any way. But I think Sarong definitely would be the bog. I think 125. So for the people that own Sarong, well done to you.
I could have easily given Brayshaw the flog award, but a little bit of news or rumblings that he might be carrying a little bit of a niggle or an injury. Okay. So that news kind of spared him the flog award for this one. But I'm going to give it to a combination of Justin Longmuir and the Frio backline for not kicking Hayden Young the bloody ball.
You were very upset.
Mate, it's so obvious to me, someone who watches Frio and Hayden Young particularly very closely, that when that man gets the ball, good things happen. Like, I know he's frustrating because he doesn't have that Nick Dacos thirst for the footy.
Yeah.
But when he does get it, he uses it really well. He kicks it dangerously. They often, we were watching the game together, commenting that they often scored on the back. As soon as Hayden Young got the ball, kicked it inside, got that inside kick on the 45.
We are watching closely. He did have a couple of turnovers during that game early on, but I think the more he got the ball in hand, the more Freo looked dangerous. And even sort of the first 5 minutes of that third quarter, I think, don't quote me, was when he started to get rolling a little bit, and that kind of sparked a little bit of a run for them. So we'd like to see Hayden Young hopefully getting a bit more of the ball, at least up until the buys. But
yes, after we trade him out, you can do whatever you want with him. But I do think that they should be giving it to him a bit more. Richmond versus Sydney.
Now, there were bigger scorers in this game. I think Liam Baker was actually the leading scorer, but I gave my bog to Timmy T just because he's been a picture of consistency from the fantasy perspective.
He's one of the 5 players that he's on the ton run.
The ton run, I've heard that going around. So he's been under a little bit of criticism for his actual footballing role in that team and whether he's perhaps not disposing of the ball efficiently. But in terms of fantasy,
that's always been his thing.
Yeah, I don't think owners could knock him so far to start the year. So Timmy T, BOG for the Tiggies.
Model of consistency. Yep. My flog is just Richmond. Just Richmond in general. We were very well, obviously, we're more Tigers
critical,
fans,
aren't we? 'Cause we're Tigers
fans, we were
yeah.
watching the game, and maybe our expectations of Richmond were maybe a bit high this season, but everything I've seen so far this year has just been disappointing.
It's been frustrating. I think everyone feels that way when they watch their own team, don't they? And I know that Richmond, there's a couple of injuries.
Undisciplined, things like giving away those 50 metres, just like, what are you doing, guys?
Those things kill. But, I mean, to be fair, you could talk about Richmond's injuries, but then you may as well talk about Sydney's injuries as well, because they were depleted too.
Exactly. So no excuses in my opinion.
Frustrating from the Tigs.
Richmond, floggish game from you guys. Be better. Let's move on to Brisbane versus North. Who have we got for best on ground? Let me guess.
Again, high scoring players, but this guy is in the boat of Timmy Taranto. This guy is just consistency and
perma-blog, really.
He's doing things as a rookie that are just unheard of. I think I even might have seen something on Twitter. It might have been Jaden Popowski talking about that. What he's doing in terms of his cash generation and accumulation is just
uncharted.
We're in uncharted waters. So
he's my D3 right now. He is sitting there at D3.
I know he went sub 100 this week, but there was a point there where I looked at the score at halftime and I thought, Mitch has snubbed this guy in the Ball Boys Big Boys again. He's about to go another 120 and he still wasn't in the Big Boys.
Yeah. Well, we definitely do. I'm considering him now when I'm doing that research, but yeah, he's just he's a legend. Flog for me this game. LD Useless was the nickname that we dubbed him on the weekend.
To be fair, I was just looking at the score. I wasn't watching the game, but then I was hearing from a lot of people on Twitter that there was a bit of it. I was watching the game
and he was very disinterested this game. They were getting pumped.
How do you measure disinterested, Bucks? I didn't watch it. What do you?
He wasn't running hard at all.
So
defensively, no, I don't think so. He was running fine. He was moving fine. It just didn't look like he was putting a lot of effort in to make that extra tackle here and there. If a guy it was a bit of a case of the Jason Horn-Francis. I would say.
A little bit of that. Jeez.
A little bit of that. So I think the first quarter, first
Kane
half.
Corn said we should go easy on.
Let's not boo the man. But
Kane Corns rips into everyone. I didn't understand that. I didn't get to the bottom of all of those articles and stuff. But when I saw that.
It's like he's the first player that's ever been booed before.
But I mean, I think it was maybe who it was being booed by, but I just couldn't get it. Kane Corns always seems to be going after players.
Yeah, I don't know. A bit of glass houses there, guys. But,
potentially.
But yeah, LDU, it just, the first half, he had a low scoring first half, but he was still trying in what I could see. And in the second half, I think he definitely kind of, took the foot off the gas a little bit.
Makes it hard when he's a pod for owners.
He is. I think he'll be fine, though. I think he'll be better moving forward. He's got the Suns next week, which is obviously a good matchup. So hopefully he can get back on track and keep it going for his owners. Essendon versus Melbourne. Big win for the Dons.
Yeah, huge win. I didn't watch a lot of footy this week, and actually, might talk about it later, but I try to give myself a little bit of a cleanse.
Yes.
But I was watching the scores for this, and from what I could see on Twitter as well, it looked like these two fellas that I'm going to award the bog to, their scores were kind of intertwined, because I think Setterfield went to Oliver with a tag early, and kind of it clamped them both in terms of fantasy scoring. Yes. But then I've given them both the bogs because for their respective owners, they climbed out of that pit and both scored respectable scores in the end. So those people that own Clayton Oliver, and maybe even those people that put the C or VC on him, probably were holding their breath a little bit.
Very nervous times. So, obviously they both had great games. Setterfield had an amazing game that game, and I know maybe some people might have seen it on Twitter, but, well-deserved, well, maybe not, a rocket from me at quarter time, had 5 points, but to finish on a flat 100 was something that he definitely pulled out. And Clayton Oliver, whilst he was also the recipient of the Bog Award, I'm going to give him the flog because I'm not an owner.
You were hoping for a low score.
And he racked up 20 disposals in the last quarter.
Yeah, like 40-something, didn't he?
20 disposals in one quarter when the game was obviously out of, they weren't going to win it. So just a bit of junk time floggery, in my opinion. And just take your foot off the gas, Clayton Oliver. You don't have to get 40 touches every game.
I know the game's over, but that's actually like freak behaviour. Hey,
yes.
To anyone who's played, local footy knows it's tough to get a touch out, playing local footy, and this guy's at the top level and going out consistently getting 40. So hats off to Clary, you're a beast.
A beast. He honestly is, and I think I've said this before, but he might be get up there with like the best in the game. Like in that last quarter, 14 contested disposals. Like that is crazy. That is crazy. So, but yeah. Just for us non-owners, flog behaviour.
Yeah. Port versus Melbourne, again, didn't watch, but wet conditions, I believe.
Yes,
and then you had the ruckman playing like a midfielder and just being an absolute beast. So I think anyone who was watching, particularly people who had C or VC on Tim English in this game, would have just been happy as Larry. I know I was.
Prime Grundy is the comparison I'm going to throw out there. Like 2019 Grundy, this
guy
is
well,
reminding me of. And he's averaging over 120, and I honestly don't see him doing less than that. I think he's a 120-plus guy this year.
If he stays healthy.
I think there's a chance he's going to be the highest averaging player the entire season. So he's close to $1 million now. If you don't have one of the big three, and that's Sean Darcy, Rowan Marshall, and English, if you've got any other ruckman sitting on there, I know there's one of our fans out there is still rolling with the Draper art too. And he's doing well.
Yes.
You've got to be having some sort of plan to get English into your side because he is looking like someone who is, if you don't have him, it's going to be difficult to get up to the top there. So,
who was your flog from that game?
Flog for me was Marcus Bontempelli, and he did score a ton. I'm not flagging his whole game, but the last quarter for me, and I am getting pretty sick of this as a Bontempelli owner. He has had a lot of times where he's going on for a big score and then just hits the brakes. He had a 9-point quarter in the final term. Port definitely turned it on in the last quarter. He got stuck on the bench a little bit, but still, the fact that he's only had, what did he have here in terms of disposals? He touched the ball 3 times, had no marks, no tackles. There was talk of a tag as well there, but get in there and tackle, man. Like, it's wet. I'm sure you could get your hands on some bodies there. So, Bont, got to run out the game, mate.
And there's a few people that are starting to identify it on Twitter as well and saying, hey, he's getting respectable scores, but those people who picked him wanted him to step into that upper echelon of fantasy.
We wanted to get closer to 108, 110.
And he's still a little bit of a point of difference, I would imagine, for teams
about
as well.
10%, I think.
Yeah, which you want those players to be scoring well if you own them. So,
just frustrating. Like, I can forgive, a couple here and there, but it seems like it's every week at the moment. So finish the game, Bont. Let's go on to Geelong West Coast.
Yeah, so I had 2 bogs here, and bogs for different reasons. So Stewart got, I think it was a 98 in the end, and I was just devastated watching Jordan Dawson on Thursday night because I knew that it was him or Stewart for me in terms of my trades, and I went Stewart and saved some cash, and I just didn't want him to stink it up. I was like, if he gets a 70 or something and Dawson's gone 130, it would just devastate me. And even though the 30 points of difference is still devastating, at least he got around the ton. At least it wasn't an absolute stinker.
Outscored his price stat by about 13 points. Yeah, it's probably not as good as what Dawson did on top of his price, but I think Stewart, especially with his buy round, and he's returning to GMHBA, I think, this week as well. So I am expecting him to start to really pick it up there as well.
The other guy I've got there is Jezza, not necessarily for his performance that week, but he's one that I don't think anyone would have picked at the start of the year, but if you owned him from the start of the year, even the cash generation that he's made, it's just a bit unheard of for a guy playing that position. So, and he's just a freak of a talent as well. He's
averaging 111. Like, he's averaging 111.
Yeah.
Priced at 887,000, made 150,000 already this year. So, doing his thing. Obviously, you're not trading him into your side, but tip your hat. The flog for me was Patrick Dangerfield for beating up on our boy Ruben Jinby.
I thought Kung Fu Casey would have liked that kind of stuff.
No, not at all. No, he was.
It was a karate kick, wasn't it?
It was a karate kick, like studs to the face, and there was also an eye gouge that.
Was it?
Yeah, it took him
I
off.
didn't see that.
Poked him in the eye. It was a
goodness.
Good one too.
He was just beating up on him.
So
Jinby was running with danger, was he?
Yeah, he was kind of not tagging him or anything like that, but obviously trying to learn off one of the best in the game, and just didn't give a shit. Danger just went tackle, poked him in the eye, took a mark, foot to the face, and it probably contributed to our boy Jinby getting subbed off in the third quarter.
Bloke,
looking a bit sore there, Jinby.
Might play with an eye patch next week.
So look after our young kids there, Danger. Not cool, man. But yeah. Flog for me. GWS Hawthorn. I've got a. Can I do this one?
Well, okay, yeah.
Best on ground Warple, my boy.
Oh, how the tables have turned! I didn't even get to put this one in. Mitch decided.
I always believed in him. He's always been my guy. I never doubted him for a second, and never thought of trading him at all.
I wish I had queued up the replay from last week because you were just karate chopping him out everywhere. Warple.
What are you talking about, mate? He's in my side. He's in my team right now.
Yes, yeah. Well, we know how that ended up happening. Baz went down was the best thing that happened to you this week.
Yeah, it did save me actually in the end. So
I didn't even get to do a bog, but Warple, you can have it. Well done.
114.
I wonder how many people were also in that boat where they were forced to hold maybe and they wouldn't have, but that's good. That's a win.
Yeah. It makes me feel better because the week before it was the Callahan that I was annoyed that I traded out him instead of Warple, but Warple's repaid the faith.
Well done, mate.
And
you're a great coach.
Yeah, elite coach.
You must have inspired him.
It was a great rocket. It was a rocket, mate.
You said, I'm going to trade you, mate.
The chop, it was the rocket. So let's see how he responds this week with another week without Will Day there. Flog, I'm going to give it to Josh Kelly, someone that we've both been hot on. Just again, similar to like a Bond, but even worse so, just didn't finish out the
70
game.
Something?
Yeah, it was on at 79 for the game. Was on, I think he was over 50 for half time, so you thought he was going to make his ton.
Okay.
Wasn't tagged or anything like that, but just didn't get enough of the ball to get there in the end. So yeah, not the best from Josh Kelly, who I still like, but I think there was also someone, I think I heard somewhere flag that he was playing a little bit more of a wing role, which we don't want to see.
No,
so yes, we'll probably maybe just keep an eye on that.
Okay, one to watch. Last game of the round.
Collingwood St Kilda. Who's our bog?
I'm going to hand on heart sit here and say, if I hadn't have traded this bloke in this week, I would not be sitting here now.
It would have been a very tough.
Dead set. You would not have seen me.
Highest score of the season for him.
Yep.
Nick
you
Dacos.
wouldn't have seen me if I didn't have Nick Dacos in my team. Luke, where are you? Text me. I would not be responding because it just wouldn't have been... It wouldn't have been pleasant to watch.
A lot of people would have traded in Jordan Dawson and Nick Dacos this week, and you've gotten a 136 and a 133 from the guys you traded in a week of need where you've got two guys out. Some say kiss, some say good trades.
Yeah,
but
that's that sugar hit that is it Stato that talks about?
Yeah, he loves the sugar hit.
Yeah,
but
so
he's looking every bit of 110 averaging defender this season.
So glad.
So even though we jumped on late, I still think we probably actually got him at a decent price, and fantasy's just much better. Like
that
it was so much more relaxed on a Monday night.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm taking the little flog. What's going on here?
But flog, there wasn't too much floggish behaviour in this game, but I'll give it to Jay Gresham for not many who would have him in Classic, but for draft owners, a 23, and he was still getting some CBAs there as well. It's not like he was completely, in the forward pocket or anything like that. That's just gross. And for draft owners, that would have definitely gone a long way to potentially costing them a win this week. So there's our bogs and flogs.
And the winner of the Norm Smith medal.
You're an embarrassment to what you do, mate. You're an embarrassment.
An embarrassment. Speaking of some embarrassments, we're talking about the MRO next in our
news from the week.
News
Put
segment.
your MRO hat on again. Is it the sombrero this week?
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
Get the maracas out. You're not happy.
Not happy.
Do you want me to do my news?
Actually,
news from the weekend sound grab?
Yeah, do you have it?
Yeah, I've got it. I think that was the Mario Kart intro.
What was that? Well,
No, I forgot to put it back on.
Yeah,
but
we'll have
did
to
that
get it for
sound,
next time.
That sounded pretty good.
Yeah,
Didn't it?
exactly. Yeah, exactly what it sounded like.
Okay, what do we got? What's going on? News
So
from the
we
weekend.
got Merritt. He's been offered 1 week, and obviously I think they
had the
said that
chance
they're
to
going to
challenge it?
challenge it,
They have?
but
Okay.
based on everything we've seen so far, it probably doesn't look good. The other one that we're keeping an eye on, and I'm just checking Twitter right now, I haven't seen anything to confirm this yet, but the other one we were looking at is probably a bit more fantasy relevant, is Tom Green, who's a very popular player there as well, who had a dangerous tackle reported.
Yeah, I've only looked at it a couple of times. I looked at the Merritt one as well. I think, unfortunately, Tom Green probably goes. And this is not, people might say, the tackle wasn't that bad or whatever, but it's more
I don't think
statement.
Days was that bad.
I think this time last week we sat here and said, I don't think Dale will get suspended. Then he goes for two.
Yes.
So I just think that
You
the
think
way
it's
the
at least
AFL are
one.
going, and I mean, I'm hoping Tom Green doesn't because
Yeah.
I'm an owner, but I just have this feeling that they're just looking to go bang, bang, anything that's a sling, anything that's a dump. Do you think it's still surprising that we're seeing a few of these every weekend, or is it just...
I mean, the thing is, though, like, it's in the... And you would know this probably better than I would, but, like, playing, like, the game like that, it's a hard sport. So, and especially when you've got someone trying to resist you to tackle you,
Yeah.
you're trying to overpower someone. It's very difficult in the moment, as I'm sure it would be to judge. Okay, am I going to hit their head first on the ground, or am I just going to swing them onto their body? Like, they're trying to not be tackled, so you've got to put a lot of force into it. So it's difficult, man. Like
There's sometimes as well where you'll tackle a guy in game and they're initially resisting the tackle and you're applying force and then
just
go
goes.
limp.
Yeah.
And then
Those are the ones.
The timing of that, and then also like where if your legs are locked up, we saw in the day one where the legs were locked up and that contributed to the fall as well. So I don't
think any of these have been malicious.
No, I
or
definitely wouldn't say
anything like
that. Please don't get us wrong. None of these tackles have been malicious or anything like that. But it's just the AFL stance on it is don't.
It
do
looks like it's going to be that way. It's hard to judge. I mean, it's the MRO lottery, but I would be bracing if I was an owner of either of those two players.
And is that a
at least
trade? Let's
week.
say Tom Green goes a week. Are you trading to a premium that you've missed potentially?
1 week, I think you hold.
Okay.
Now, if it's two, it's probably maybe more likely to be a trade unless you can do an upgrade with holding him.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Or if you can get him go them down to someone who's a bit cheaper and then use that money to get up, that might be a way you could do that as well. But I think we're in upgrade season. Truly now, like we're actually in upgrade season. Take two, but yeah. So now, if you don't do that, you're going to start to fall behind, and like chances we might be getting a few more of these before our buys and before our teams are finished. So if we keep having to fix up these 1 week suspensions or 1 week injuries,
up, isn't it?
you're never going to really get to that finished side, and you're going to fall behind. So I think 1 week you hold. You, in fact, actually held Will Day last week because you were able to do the upgrade.
Although I was disappointed that I didn't get Dawson, getting Stewart in the end left me with 140k in the bank. I'm still holding Day. And I was happy. I didn't increase much in the rankings. I'm still at an obnoxious ranking, but I've increased a little bit and I've still got Day there while some others traded him.
Yeah.
So
I think all the Traders boys held Day as well, and I think I saw all of their rankings kind of take a bit of a hit this week. So if you've managed to hold rank, I think that's
I couldn't have taken more of it from where I was.
I was trying to talk you up, mate.
Thank you, mate. Sorry, I should have read that cue.
But no. I think that's how I would read it at this stage anyway. But we'll wait and see what happens. There was a late out on the Monday as well. Jordan Goey was a late out with illness, and apparently there is a little bit of illness going around at the Pies. The good news is though is they don't play until Tuesday.
Someone quarantined Nick Dacos.
Yes. That was literally what I was thinking about. I said, because I saw I think it was Mitch Cleary, he said, there's a bit of illness. They took back to Goey, and he was definitely the one flagged, but then they also mentioned that there is a bit of illness going around at Collingwood, and I said, I swear to God, if I trade in Dacos, and he's a late out on a Monday and I can't go anywhere else, I will be fuming.
I want to see something on Twitter that Dacos is walking around like a hazmat suit or something.
Yeah, someone get that man. Get him some soup. Get him some soup. Protect him.
What's your go-to soup? Illness.
I like a tomato soup, actually.
You hate veggies.
Yeah, no.
But you like tomato soup.
Yeah, it's just...
Does Ellie know this?
Yeah.
Do you like pumpkin soup?
Nah, I can't do the pumpkin soup.
Pumpkin soup, bit of pepper and some bread. buttered
Yeah,
bread.
yeah.
Goes all right.
Yeah, okay.
I would recommend you try.
All right, I'll give it a go. So I think that one's maybe just one to monitor, but I don't think it's too much to worry about.
Okay.
And then the next sort of thing we're going to touch on here, and we'll go a bit more into depth into this later on, but rookies getting rest. So we saw Jimby get subbed out.
Yep.
Mackenzie was used as the sub, started managed on the team selection on the Friday afternoon, and then Davey, who was initially said by the coach that he was good to go.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And then when team selection came out, he was named out of the side.
He got beat up in the previous week. Do you remember
He
you
did.
and I watched that?
He
was
looked
just in
sore.
the walls, wasn't he?
He looked very, very
So I
sore.
when I saw that the previous week, I thought, is there a chance of getting rested? But then you said, I heard the coach come out.
I'm not sure if he was playing in the VFL or anything like that. Someone will have to fact check me there, but it'll be interesting to see if he comes straight back into the side this week. But it's just a good reminder for us that as good as these rookies are going, and someone like a Jimby and Mackenzie were prime examples. They were good rookies on our field. It just reiterates the urgency that we're in upgrade season now. We've got to be trying to get these rookies off our ground.
It hurts that break even. I think we're going to talk about that a bit later on as well.
We definitely will.
Yeah.
And then the last little bit of news that we'll talk about here is the new DPPs. Little
Could have been here last week.
Christmas. Yeah, we
Where have you been?
definitely could have used it last week. But we'll go through a couple of relevant options, and then we'll talk about some obvious ones there. Sheasel, Zeeble adding defender status.
Yep.
We knew that was coming. Lockie Whitfield, Nazai Wanganeen Malira also adding defender status. Jason Johannesson, who's a bit of a hot name at the moment, added defender. Bailey Smith got his forward status. Will still be out this week by all reports as well. Ben Keys added forward status. Taylor Adams added forward status. And so did Caleb Daniel, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I didn't see the Caleb Daniel one coming, but he's now defender forward. Okay. And then a few rookies, Will Phillips, Cam McKenzie, and Matt Roberts all added forward status to their midfield position.
Are we talking about Matt Roberts later?
Yes, we will be talking about him as a downgrade option. But I guess a couple of guys that I just wanted to highlight here from this list. The first one I want to highlight is Lockie Whitfield.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on a Lockie Whitfield? Say if someone missed or hasn't missed the boat, but hasn't traded in someone like a Tom Stewart, or even if you have Tom Stewart, Whitfield is priced similarly. Do we think that he is someone that we could be jumping on as a cheap defender? Price $728,000, so that's probably around that 85 price that tag.
I think that there's the answer is definitely yes. The caveat that goes with that is that we've seen in previous years that there are a couple little flags that pop up. So there's a little bit of an injury flag there with him historically. And
there's risk.
And there's also just a little bit of up and down in his performance. He's a guy that can put up a 150, and then there's a guy that can put up a 70. I think the benefit, obviously, like you said, he's added defender status now.
Yep.
So you were never touching him if he was going to be a permanent midfield, fantasy midfielder is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it definitely does tempt you a little bit, I think.
I definitely think he's someone that can average in the 90s. I don't see him being that 100-plus guy that he was in the past. I think sharing the defensive role with an Isaac Cumming is might just reduce his ceiling a little bit.
But he only has to be a 95 to be a top 6 defender, really,
and that's basically 10 points unders right there. So I think that he is definitely an option. We are starting to trade in a few of these defenders now, and a Sheasel and a Zeeble are going back there potentially for some people as well. So just keep an eye on how many premium defenders you have now, because
might end up full.
We've gone from having no one to having a lot of different options. So just be mindful of that and where you want a Sheasel and a Zeeble to kind of finish in, if you prefer them in your forward line or your defensive line, or if you use the value as a way to decide that. But I do definitely think that he is someone that is an option now with that status. Anyone else from this list that sort of catches your eye in terms of now that they've got the new position that you think they become more relevant?
Well, talk to me about JJ. I think he did some good things on the weekend that made people...
So he's obviously been someone that's been moved around a bit in his career. Yeah. He has played in the defence line before. Started the year, round 1 was playing forward, score of 28.
Yeah.
Was out the second week. Came back in week 3 and basically has played the last 3 rounds as a defender. Since then, he's put up some decent scores. He had a big game on the weekend, so I'll just read out his scores that he's had since coming back in as a defender. He went 69 versus the Lions, 81 versus the Tigers, and then 98 versus Port. Yeah. So at $494K, basically the exact same price as, or very close to, a Ruben Jinby. He's someone that we could potentially be sidewaysing to as a guy that's on the way
up the
up.
cash generation.
Yeah, 16 break even.
Looks like his cash generation might have been been stunted there by him getting subbed. So it's definitely a play you could have a look at. There's a few things, obviously the fact that he plays for the Bulldogs and we just don't know what Bevo's going to do week to week. He's unhinged sometimes is something that...
Unhinged?
Yeah.
It's he's just unhinged.
He's lost
screaming. Okay.
I think that presents as a little bit.
There's definitely risk.
There's a niche market. Would you agree? It's like a if you're.
He's very cheap. Like I like him more. He kind of falls into that like Jaden Hunt of last week.
Could you beat the rush and but there is risk associated.
There's risk associated. I think it's a play. I think if and we'll talk about a guy that potentially could be frustrating a lot of owners. I think that he might be a nice solution for some Angus Brayshaw owners potentially.
Okay.
But the defensive forward status that you can swing together with like a Sheasel and a Zeeble could be extremely useful. But yeah, someone that I think is on the lips of a lot of coaches this week. But other than that, I don't think like Taylor Adams, Ben Keys, Caleb Daniel, they're not really...
More draft relevant. Not
really tickling my fancy at this stage. Bailey Smith, maybe when he comes back in, if we see that uptick in CBAs and his scoring, we'll keep an eye on him. He could definitely be someone that is a premium forward later on in the season, but obviously not right now while he's out injured.
Okay, do you want to throw the headband on, mate? You got some people to karate chop?
Let's give it a go. Let's do
it.
Let's get that headband on, chop and block.
Jeez, that was a big headband pull. You were out here somewhere.
Tight.
Yeah, mate. Who are we chopping?
On the chopping block, Angus Brayshaw, as we just mentioned before, he has been putrid this season.
Definitely something we were wrong about in the preseason.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We were pretty keen on him. Obviously, the injury to Salem is dampened our enthusiasm. We still thought he would go like mid-90s though, close to a ton even, but he's gotten worse every single week so far. Capping it off with a 45 on the week against the Bombers, which is just like people don't deserve that. He's lost a bunch of money. He's lost $142,000 already.
Do you think
down at $736,000?
Is there anything to, has he fallen out of favour as a guy who could potentially go through the midfield because they're now putting like Pickett through the midfield a little bit more and stuff?
Yeah, I haven't watched too many Demons games. So far
it just feels so weird that you'd have a player of the calibre of Brayshaw that is clearly not doing a great deal. I'm talking from a footy perspective. You'd think that they'd be trying to amend that a little bit.
And he did so well last year in the role. Like, he was looking really good.
Maybe some people out there who are watching Melbourne a little bit more closely could give us some insight into what they think's happening.
He's not taking kick-ins, which I don't think he did really even last year. Stephen Maynes, he's got the real estate there. But I think that you're really waiting until Salem comes back into the side to free him up. But at the moment, when you're scoring 45s... he's someone who's got a lot of money on his head. I would be trying to get him to someone else. I'd be trying to trade him. The issue I find here, though, is that if you're trading out of someone like a Brayshaw and you're trying to upgrade him, and I had a few people ask me about this, it feels to me almost like you're then a kind of a step behind getting the rookies off the ground in that situation.
Yeah.
So in this situation, this is where you've got someone who's severely underperforming. I'd be wanting to maybe take a punt in this kind of situation, downgrade a player like Brayshaw to a Jason Johannesson, which should net you close to $250K, which should then give you enough money to upgrade a rookie as well on top of that, because I think, and then that's going to generate cash from the guy that you're coming up for Johannesson. I'd be more tempted in that situation to bring in a JJ rather than like just getting a rookie up to JJ. I did this before last year. If you remember when Darcy Cameron started coming up, at the same time, Stephen Cornelio's role was very, very questionable, and I think he dropped a 40. The week before he dropped that 40, I did a similar situation where I went Stephen Cornelio down to a Darcy Cameron, and then got a rookie up on the other end of it. So, and then Darcy Cameron ended up outscoring Cornelio, so it was almost like a bit of a double upgrade. So you might be able to do something like that with a Brayshaw and a JJ this week. And I think that might be a win-win for owners. Now, it obviously has some risks, but I think that's the kind of situation I would do that in.
Yeah, one to watch for sure. Now, you've got a few rookies here I can see on the chopping block as well. Do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, let's talk about them together. Yeah. So I guess the question is, we're starting to get rid of these rookies now. The question is now, who is the priority? Yeah, which one needs to be traded out more urgently as a down or upgrade trade?
This will be the tough thing, and I think that a lot of people will be thinking about this week, is because obviously the rookies that might be the most appetising to trade out are the more expensive ones because
Yes.
it means you can get higher.
Get higher.
But then you also have to think about the fact that if you do trade out those more expensive
Who are you
rookies...
putting on ground?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're the ones that have been typically performing well for you on ground. So are you then left with a guy who's been putting up 30s on the bench? Someone like a Fergus Green who scored really well on the weekend but has
you don't
been
trust
consistently...
it.
Yeah, so this is really interesting debate. I'm really keen to hear what people have to say about this week.
Yeah, so to me, it comes down to what cash they have on their head, what can you get to, and also what is their role. And their role encompasses also like where they're playing, like midfield forward, but also are they like sub-risk, job security, their break-even in terms of making cash. So at this stage, the way I would rank it, and we're probably going to review this again on the Friday live show as well when we have a bit more time and we have the teams named as well, because this list can change. Say, for example, some of them are named up as the sub, or there is a bit more talk about managing and resting throughout the week. So at the moment, I would probably go Kade Chandler as the number one guy I think is ready and ripe to go, as a bit of a guy that you can upgrade to someone a little bit better for him. He's priced at $460,000. He's made a bunch of money so far. His break-even is in the 50s now, which he definitely could hit. But like we saw on the weekend, he is a forward. And when you're a forward, you're susceptible to having those poor scores. He scored a 40 on the weekend. So he's number one to go for me. Number 2 and 3, this is where I'm a little bit questionable here. So Ruben Jinby I've got at 2 and Cam Mackenzie at 3.
I can see why you're torn here because these two guys have been guys that have performed well for us in terms of being rookies on our field. But what's happened with them this weekend it makes you question it, doesn't
makes
it?
you
Mackenzie
nervous.
obviously rested, Jinby was subbed, and these guys are getting to a point, 5 games of AFL is going to beat anyone up, let alone
and
young
Jinby,
bodies.
and like I sent a tweet out on the weekend, and I think some people were sort of quick to defend him, but I think he's been great. Like he's a guy that's obviously he's got a hard role. He's playing inside mid and banging bodies, and he's still just a kid at this stage anyway. So he's still 18 years old, but 64 break even. He hasn't done that in the last 2 weeks, even against Melbourne when he played the full game, only managed a 48. So his first 3 games, 92, 71, 82. If you can guarantee he's going to do that, you're holding him. You put him on your field, that's a good score. But it's just the nervous watch of, okay, how is he going to go moving forward? He's got Port Adelaide this week. Tough matchup.
The other thing that might help people to swallow trading on a Jinby is now with DPP, especially if you've got Sheasel and Zeeble, there could be backlines that are starting to look almost set. And so if you're to the point where you're moving Sheasel and Zeeble up and you've held Day, so you know that in a week's time your backline might be done, then that might incentivise you to trade on a Jinby. So
you might not necessarily be replacing him with someone that was on your defensive bench. You're replacing him with like someone who's been scoring really well. So I think, and he's obviously the most expensive out of all these guys. He's got the most amount of money on his head, $489,000. So you can get something really good for him. Mackenzie's also a tricky one in a similar kind of situation. He's also added forward status now, so that helps us as well in terms of flexibility. But again, he was named as the sub. So I've got him lower than Jinby because he's cheaper, so you're not going to get quite as much reward for him. But also I'm more confident in them potentially, if he's not named the sub, he's going to play out the full game. His rest was like being the sub, if that makes sense. And they named it up, so there's a bit more transparency there. He probably doesn't look as beat up as someone like a Jinby does to me. But again, his scores will still fluctuate. Like he's got forward status for a reason. So he scores 75, then scored a 44, then scored a 94, then scored a 56. So in full games, and at a break even at 62, there's a chance he slides back in cash this week. So I think it is okay to trade any of those guys. I'd have a look and see read the tea leaves of the teams and see where you think you can get these guys. If you can loop them on, then you can. Although I've had to play around with my loops this week, and it is difficult with the schedule. A few of our rookies are playing in the later games. So
we can probably clump these next 3 guys, Callaghan, Stocker, and Hunt. They all kind of are serving the same purpose in a lot of teams.
So these guys here, and I've named those Jimbys and Mackenzies before those guys because I think you're trading them out first because of the risk of the sub. Okay, whereas I think Callaghan, Stocker, Hunt, they're entrenched in the sides. They're not getting subbed out. So whilst they're still maybe not performing at the level you want a premium to do, I would still be trying to get those rookies off the field to avoid the risk of you getting a 20 on your ground or something like that if someone's subbed out. So I think those guys are next. Put them in whichever. I don't think people have multiples of these guys, but I'd probably go that way.
And then to round out the list, you've got Alwyn Davey there and Lockie Cowan. So basically, these are guys that we would say haven't finalised their cash
They
generation.
haven't made enough cash yet.
The trouble I have a little bit is that, if I start trading out those rookies that do have the ability to score 60s and 70s, Jimby and Mackenzie, there is a situation where it could be light on one of the lines in the field in terms of like a poor rookie, having to take a poor rookie score. I mean,
we'll get to this soon, but we've got some good rookies that I think we have to trade in, and I actually think that some of them could be played on our ground as well. Okay. Look, if you could do the trade that you wanted to do with trading out like someone like a Lockie Cowan, and there's every chance he gets dropped this week as well.
Yeah.
So, but even then, it's still like, okay, I don't want to be hampered and just do a fix-up if it doesn't get me the upgrade that I want. I use the upgrades to determine what rookies I'm going. So I want to be aggressive and get the premiums that I want.
Yep.
And if that means culling one of those good rookies early, I'm all for it. I think that's the way I like to play it, at least.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Chopping block done and dusted. Let's talk some trade targets.
All right. So we're going to go through some lines. We'll start with the defenders. I'll throw some.
We're going to what?
Go through. No.
Mate, you've been hanging out with Bailey Smith too much.
Hey, don't try and trick me there, mate. But we'll go through the positional lines here, and I'm going to throw some names at your way.
Yeah,
and
please.
I want you to sort of rank these guys in terms of what you think. Like, who do you think is going to score the best, and who do you think is the priority in terms of bringing in?
Okay.
So I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah,
here,
let's do it.
I've got three guys in defence that I think are all value.
Yep.
So I think they're all decent options, but in terms of priorities, Lockie Whitfield, Tom Stewart, and Jack Zeeble as defenders.
Okay, so in order of what I anticipate they score, and I'll caveat this by saying if they remain in the role that they're playing currently, is I go Stewart, Zeeble, Whitfield. That would be my confidence in what they'll average across the rest of the season.
Yep.
I've already got Stewart, but if you didn't, I would have Stewart as that priority because I think his cash generation is going to start to go back the other way.
Yeah, I think he's bottomed out.
But, I'm having a serious look at Jack Zeeble this week, and I know there'll be quite a few people who will talk about the fact that he's already climbed quite a lot in cash. But if there's a scenario where
He's priced at 85.
Well, if there's a scenario where I can't get to the premium that I want, and I'll be honest, I haven't had a really good look at my team so far today. I still see Zeeble in that role being a 95 to 100 guy, which you said he's priced at 85. That gives him 10 to 15 points of upside. So for me, that could still be a potentially good pick, and he's got that DPP that fixes a few things up for me.
It does. Well. It is very handy.
I'll caveat that by saying I've said caveat like 3 times. It's word of the day.
It's word of the day. Yeah.
Am I even using it in the right context? I don't know.
I'm sure you are. You got headphones on. We'll trust what you're saying.
That's
credibility.
That's not a reason to trust what we're saying. But haven't had a look at the team, but there's a scenario where I go there.
I would agree with you. I would have Tom Stewart number one pretty clearly, in my opinion.
Yep.
I think the round 13 buy also is another tick in his favour.
Yeah.
I think he's the probably the safest in terms of his injury history as well.
Don't say that. Do not say that.
But they're actually all three of these guys are probably riskier guys. Yep. I would then have Lockie Whitfield, I think, second. Yep. I just think his ceiling is probably a little bit higher than a Jack Zeeble. Zeeble's just that little bit older as well. Lockie Whitfield is cheaper. I don't know if that means anything. Zeeble's flexibility in the DPP is useful, but I see him more as maybe a low 90s, whereas I see Whitfield as a mid to high 90s at best. But I think they're all decent options this week, and if you don't have any one of them, if you wanted those guys, they are very achievable. Beautiful. Let's talk about mids. Now, I am finding the mids the hardest position so far this season. My midfield looks shit. I'll tell you right now. My defence and my rucks and forwards look great, but my mids...
and me both. I've got to stop following your advice, mate.
I think Bont's sitting at my M1 right now, and he's barely cracked the ton this year. So, but I'll throw some names your way. Maybe a few different price brackets here, let's go Took Miller, Rory Laird, Josh Kelly, Lockie Neal, Chad Warner, and Callum Mills. So there's 6 names there.
Okay, so let's put Laird and Miller in a category of their own above the rest. I think that Laird...
Well, let's put Josh Kelly in there as well. He's actually around their price. Laird, Miller, and Kelly are all pretty similarly priced.
Yeah, I'm so reactionary, aren't I? It's like he scores poorly on the weekend. I'm like, what's going on?
We were on him.
What's the role? But Rory Laird is just from what we saw him do at the end of last year, We all know that winter is cuddling weather, and
Yes.
winter is coming, to quote. Who am I quoting there?
I'm blanking. Ned Stark. Game of
Stark.
Thrones, yeah.
Big Game of Thrones guy, this guy.
Big Game of Thrones.
So Rory Laird, I think, is just the fact that he's diving in price means that it's just what week do you pick him up? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not if. It's when.
It's when.
And then Took Miller, I think his fantasy prestige counts for something as well, and I think he fits that definition. While these guys are still pretty expensive in the scheme of things, they're guys that this fits the definition of an underpriced premium that you're probably looking to jump on. Chad Warner scored reasonably well. I think he just turned up on the weekend. And then Lockie Neal's a no for me. Callum Mills, for Callum Mills, it's an obvious answer. If you see the role...
He's interesting to me.
If you see the role change and look good, it's like, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
But then you always have this thought in the back of your mind is like...
He's like a Swiss Army.
Yeah, how much can I trust it? He's like... no disrespect to my man here, but he's like a better Liam Baker. Like, he's just sort of that Swiss Army knife.
There's no one better than Liam Baker.
Yeah, I felt dirty saying it, but he's just he's too good for his own good, if that makes sense. Like
he is, yeah.
Like, do a shit job, mate. Get back into the midfield.
Yeah.
But no, he actually does well.
Yeah,
playing defence
the
and on the
consummate
wings
professional.
well.
I think we've said before, but for us, from a fantasy
we don't want that.
No.
Yeah, so look, if I break it up, like you said, we'll break it up into two different groups here.
Okay.
If we've got like the Uber premiums, the guys that I think we can lock away all three, I think so, to be top 10, top 8 mids. So I would rank them Took number 1, and I would probably go Took number 1 with a bit of a gap between the next two. One, again, because of his bye and his run, if I had any chance to get Took Miller into my side this week...
So you're factoring in bye and other factors, not just purely scoring output with this?
Yeah, I'm thinking buys, because we've got to start thinking about that now.
Yeah,
we're into upgrade season. We've got to start thinking about that now, but we also got to start to identify players' runs coming up as well. So Took has North Melbourne, Richmond, Melbourne, West Coast, Brisbane, Western Bulldogs and Adelaide leading up into his buys. So I would say that
some good matchups.
There's probably 5 out of those 7 games which are very, very juicy.
Yeah.
And the 2 in Brisbane and Melbourne are not even the worst in terms of midfields. They do leak points. They're a good side, but they do leak points and don't tag there. So I think Took has a really good run coming up. We've seen him average 120 for seasons in the past. So he is priced at 922, so priced at a 107. There's a chance there's a chance that he goes on a stretch with good run that he could go like a stretch of 120. And I think when you have a chance to get these Uber premiums in and there's a good run, you've got to jump on them. These are the sort of the guys like I targeted with a Callum Mills last year. We sort of eyed off last year was a Hawthorn matchup. So this year up against North Melbourne, I think if you can get to Took, I would do so. I can't afford him personally, and I'm kicking myself because I was sort of eyeing him off a little bit. But I think that he is definitely the guy for me. Josh Kelly, I would probably have last on that group. Rory Laird, I think, is probably just a little bit safer than a Kelly, and I think his run is a little bit better than Kelly's as well.
Yeah. Winter's coming.
But I wouldn't expect Rory Laird to be the 120 guy that he was last year. I think he's probably more about that 111, 112, which he was the season prior.
The Dawson thing is interesting from a Laird perspective for me as well, because if you're Adelaide now, I know that Laird gets his points in a way where you don't have to be going to find Laird because he's going to be tackling, repeat stoppage, these kind of things. But when you've got a guy as explosive and such an elite user like Dawson, there's probably less repeat stoppages.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say.
If Dawson gets the ball in hand, then it's a penetrating 40-metre kick inside 50.
And Rochelle and Rankin going through that mids as well. They're playing way faster.
And Adelaide, how good were Adelaide?
And it's working, right?
Yes,
like, it's looking great. So I don't think that, like, the reason Rory Laird did so well was, I think, because of that game style was a much slower game style last year. Like, you're not going to have a game, I don't think, this year where he's going to have 20 tackles like he did last year.
Probably not. He's still going to be a gun.
He's still going to be a gun, so I think he's more 110 than 120.
So then talk to us then, what are your opinions on Neil, Warner, Mills?
I wanted you to expand on your thoughts on Neil. Why have you crossed Neil off your list there?
Don't like Brisbane.
Don't like, yeah, fair enough. Okay,
I'll
agree with you there. But he's priced at 97.7, so just under 98 there. He's averaged, 107, just last year.
He has.
What
We've seen.
He's had a difficult run up to this point, and then when he versus North, he comes out and shows what he can do.
Yeah, no, I will say I haven't watched a great deal of Brisbane either, but the narrative of the way Dunkley's scoring has gone in that role has made me a little bit sceptical of just what the Lions are looking to do and how that impacts fantasy scoring. But you're absolutely not wrong in saying that he's a guy that's shown, and even last year he showed that he was a great pick, in fantasy as well. So maybe I'm just being biased. Don't take what I say with a grain of salt.
I think he's definitely someone to consider. Like, he had a 72 against Port Adelaide where they got absolutely done in, and there was no one who scored well in that game. He then also scored a 76 against the Pies, who are the hardest scoring team to score against so far this.
How about the flip on that one?
Yeah, that's weird to say. I'm still a little bit, I don't know how to view that, but it's true so far.
Yeah.
And the other games where he, not against these, he's gone 94, 104, 116. So that's about what we expect him to do on an average. His fixture coming up is the Giants, Frio, Carlton, Essendon, Gold Coast, Adelaide. That's a pretty decent run.
Good fixture.
He's got the round 12 bye, which is probably not the best bye, being the early one. But if it fits your sort of team, I actually don't mind it. So I think if you can get to him, he's not a bad option.
Of all the guys I'll just briefly introduce the next guy. But of all the guys on the list, I would say Chad Warner's the highest risk, highest reward. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I think he's definitely a lot of risk. I think maybe Callum Mills might have higher reward, but
that's true.
But Chad Warner, I think, he's the cheapest, right? So he's in that $700K price range. Look, there's something that I like about him. I don't know if it's something that I personally could pull the trigger on myself, but he's a guy that I think if you're looking at the Sydney midfield, I almost think that he's like, maybe he and Luke Parker are like the first two picked in there, and then the rest of them kind of figure it out after that. He's probably just a guy that, I think someone commented on this before, that he's the guy that when he has a great game, he doesn't go 130. He doesn't go 140.
Yeah, he's impactful.
He's impactful, and that's not really what we want in fantasy. Like, when he has a great game, he scores 117, and that's kind of like his ceiling, which it's something that maybe just brings him down the pegging order a little bit. And when he's going to be really unique, you kind of want that ceiling to sort of make people look your way and jump on him and mitigate that risk.
Yep.
So if you can only afford him and you really want a midfielder, then I think it's a decent punt. It'll be unique. I just don't know if I could do it myself personally.
And we kind of discussed our thoughts on Callum Mills as our kind of last.
I can't do it yet, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on him.
Oh, definitely keep an eye on him.
He's going to come down in price some more. Forwards. Now, this first guy here is in my trade plans at the moment.
Is he really?
He is. Zach Butters.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
He had a good game, 110 in the last game. Saw a lot more midfield time than we've seen in the first, the first few games and rounds this year, and they are coming up into a good run. So I think Zach Butters priced at $699,000. Priced at around that 80 mark.
It's cheap for what we know he can do. Hey?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we were thinking at the start of the season, he could be someone that was underpriced at his starting salary.
Yeah.
He's obviously lost money since then. Had a
Why
bit of
didn't we
an
start
injury.
with him again? It was injured.
There was a collarbone, I think, from memory. There was some kind of injury or a shoulder or something like that, which he missed a preseason game or something along those lines. But priced at 81, I think there's at least 10 points of upside there.
So last two, like you said, 83, 110 last two games.
I'll just bring up his
CBA
numbers as well. I think that this is the week they're going up against West Coast, who absolutely got pantsed again, and I think that Port will be doing the same. And he's a guy that can even creep forward and kick some goals as well. So I think his break-even's down there as well. So I think that, look, it's not now or never, but I think this would be a good time to jump on, and he's definitely very realistic for a lot of people to get their rookies up to at $699,000. So I think most people should be able to upgrade him. So last week he had 64%, week after 68% in terms of CBAs. Rounds 1, 2, and 3 he had 33, 41, and 12% CBAs. So if we see that trend continue, it's a positive trend, then he's definitely someone that can score well.
JJ, we spoke about before. I think he's kind of another forward that you could trade, but a very specific scenario if you're going there. And
so you don't think that within your team, like, you'd be looking to go there?
Like I said, I was on a footy cleanse on the weekend because I've been riding the roller coaster too much. I mean, you guys probably said it on here. I'm just spin shifts every time. So I actually had a good weekend this weekend, and part of it was because I just checked the scores at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I didn't ride the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress, but I haven't had a good enough look at my team to know if JJ will factor into my plans.
I personally don't want to be if your only upgrade this week is Jason Johannesson, I wouldn't feel good about it. I think he's got to be a kind of a guy. If you can get like 2 upgrades and he's like the second one, if it's like a sideways and you've got enough cash to get another upgrade, then fine. But if he's your only upgrade, I don't think I can tick that one off. And the last one here, I just wanted to highlight, we talked about it a little bit last time on Friday Live Show, Josh Rochelle, he's now up to 650. I think if I just compare him to someone like a Zach Butters, who's just 40k more expensive, I'm finding the cash to get there. And that's the instance where, say you're subbing out or trading a shitter rookie and you can only get to Rochelle, or you can sub out a better rookie to get to Butters. That's the kind of situation where I'd say just trade out the more expensive rookie to get the better upgrade target. He's been a good pick. He's made $200,000 this season, but I think for the most part we've probably missed the boat, and there are other better options I think out there. But if he comes out and averages 90 from here, I wouldn't be completely shocked, and it could be someone that we regret not picking.
He's just playing good footy too.
He is.
In general,
So are the Crows.
Good celebrations too. He's got is it Rocky?
Yeah, he's got that little fist, which I like. We need a bit more of that.
It's good. The Crows are celebrating hard too. They got I saw like a handshake that involved feet as well. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, the little who was that? I can't remember who that was.
I think it was texting someone.
Rankin or something
Rankin.
that maybe, yeah.
They're going hard, but they're deserving it. They're
it's
playing
fun.
really well.
It's fun to watch. I like to see it.
For sure.
All right.
Question time.
Let's go over to some questions from Twitter. So a few topics that we've touched on, but we'll maybe go into a bit more specifics. So who should I trade out Gus Brayshaw to if I already have Dacos and Dawson? Is it simply Stewart? And then another question on Gus Brayshaw, trading him to Butters via DBP and then Chandler to Roberts. I think we touched on this earlier. I think if your only upgrade this week is Brayshaw to Butters in that second instance, I'd be wanting to do a little bit more than that. So this is where my JJ trade idea comes into play, because I just, if I was the guy that had Brayshaw, I would feel like I'm getting a little bit behind if I'm not making an upgrade elsewhere, if that makes sense. What are your thoughts? Like, do you think it's as simple as going to like a sideways, sideways over to a Stewart, maybe a sideways then a rookie to a JJ? Like that might be.
I know. To me, it probably depends on where you're ranked as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind the Gus Brayshaw to Stewart if you've got a decent rank, but if you're...
It might be the straighter bat.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to get across. Is like, and it depends what kind of person you are. Like, my rank is terrible, but I'm still trying to just play that straight bat. But if your rank is you're not happy with it and you want to go for something a bit more aggressive, then maybe a JJ gets you an upgrade elsewhere.
I agree.
But if you're doing pretty well and you ranked respectably and you're kind of happy with where you're at,
Brayshaw's just like your only issue.
Yeah, then I think Brayshaw to Stewart is like, okay, if you've played the straight bat and you then worried about,
I'd look at other DPP options as well, like, maybe because he's got a bit of money in his head, maybe could you get to a Tuke Miller or something like that? And that feels like a bigger upgrade, and it's like a captain option that you've got there, and, it might be, because, again, it's going to be hard to get rookies up to those kind of players.
Yeah, it's true.
This might be your ticket to do that. So I might look at those maybe instead of a Stewart, because, again, Stewart's not going to completely run away from you. He will start to move up a little bit, but you've got a little bit of time to still get him in.
Yep.
And that might be more achievable to get a rookie up to him the following week. So I would also explore those options. All right, rookies to bring in. Who are we prioritising out of Roberts, Johnson, and Mitchell? So I think that's Matty Roberts. Is that Johnson from Frio? Is that I'm looking at there?
Yeah, I believe so. How
and Seamus Mitchell, or as Calvin likes to call him, Seamus Mitchell.
Seamus.
Did you listen to that?
I didn't actually hear that.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. Crack up.
How annoying is it that...
Matty Roberts.
Yeah, that he's been
He's
the
actually
sub.
Good.
Poor bastard. Like, he would have fit...
Who would have thunk it?
He would have fit the bill for just perfect rookie cash generation.
Yeah.
I've said before, he's highly rated at the Swans, and...
yeah, he's a good player. He's scored well in the juniors as well.
The Swans hide these just great rookies, and then they come
do
through
seem to have a good.
There's a lot of guys playing at the Swans that if they lived in a bigger market would just be absolute super. A bit like Tuke Miller if he was in Melbourne. It's just an absolute superstar.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, I've digressed again. But yeah, Roberts, I like the look of.
So who would you... I think I'm going to exclude Johnson. I don't think I'd be getting rid of him.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely still a stub risk. And his break-even's 8. I just don't think he's that much of a priority.
Based on Horse's post-game press conference that I had a bit of a listen to, it seems as though, at least for this coming week, they're pretty much going to go in and maybe not get a lot of those guys back.
Okay.
I know that was very early on because he's obviously press conference straight after the game, but
Yep.
he seemed to think that they didn't
That's
have...
good for his job security.
They didn't have a definitive timeline on guys coming back in. So if that is still valid right now, then that, like you said, could be good.
Yeah, I think he's definitely ahead of Corey Warner, who also got a gig.
Yep.
Will Gould got subbed on, the Ghost. I think he's ahead of him as well.
Yeah.
So there's a few guys that I think are in the firing lane to be dropped before him.
Yeah.
But it still does make me a little bit nervous. He's been used to the sub so many times, and that Sydney team is deep. So for that reason, I'm going Seamus Mitchell.
Okay.
He actually looks really good on the weekend.
Yeah,
I think he took a couple of kick-ins as well.
Jeez, that's good.
Some crucial times as well. Looked like a great kick. So I actually think that he's someone that I'm looking to trade in this week. His break-even is the lowest of all of them as well.
What's he priced at?
So he's priced at 229, -2 break-even.
Okay.
Has defender forward flexibility as well.
Okay.
So that's, again, with the Sheasel thing, that's
That could be big.
super handy. So I think Roberts is a little bit cheaper. So if you need that 13K or whatever it is, then I think Roberts is a good second option. I think those two will be probably the most traded in targets this week. But for my money, I'm probably at this stage on the Seamus Mitchell side of things. Maybe just because his name's Mitchell and that's a cool name.
This next question's an interesting one.
I thought it was interesting too, yeah.
Yeah, so 300k spare cash.
Yeah.
What do you think of an upgrade for... So 2 rooks upgraded to JJ and Butters. Firstly, do you see that as an upgrade? And just what do you think in general?
I think it is an upgrade. And this is a very interesting question. It's a tough one for me to decide on. I think the part of me says that sometimes these Uber premiums, when they get to a good price, like a Tuke Miller, like a Rory Laird, and their value, they've got a decent run coming up. Tuke Miller's buy, sometimes the thing is just when you can get them, because they're going to be hard to get at other times in the season.
Yeah.
So that has me leaning that way. The other side of the coin is that the break even of JJ and Zach Butters is low.
I mean, to look at your team and instead of seeing 2 rookies, seeing JJ and Butters, there's the potential for...
does feel better.
There's the potential for Butters to be an 100 averaging player. We've seen that. And if JJ's popping out 80s in a row, it's like 2 rookies versus 100s and 80s. I know there's a chance that they don't average those as well. But it kind of looks real tempting, doesn't it?
This is a very tough question to answer. I think I'm slightly on the side of the Uber premium, and because there is a risk that JJ flops.
There is, yeah.
And if that happens...
Where do you go from there?
Where do you go? Yeah. And you've kind of... I still think Zach Butters is a good upgrade, but Tuke Miller is Tuke Miller.
You love yourself a bit of Tuke.
I'm big on him. I think he's the number one trade target for everyone who can get there this week because of his run, his buy round, his price. I just think it ticks all the boxes. So I'm hedging a little bit that way, but I guess the tiebreaker would be what rookies are you trading out in each scenario? If it's different, if you're trading out worse rookies in one, better rookies in other, and you trade out the worst rookies, that could be the tiebreaker. But I don't know. I'm leaning, trying to just get a Tuke in and lock that in. Because like I said before, I think you can have like a Seamus Mitchell or a Matt Roberts on field. And there's every chance that they get close to a JJ this week.
Yeah.
And, those 2 types are captain options as well. So you've always got that as a bit of a tiebreaker.
That's not a bad posse to be in. 300k spare cash. So
yeah, we'll have fun with that, mate.
Yeah, see how that works out. Now, this next question I've seen, Mitch. This is pure self-indulgence.
Hold on.
Mitch is
No. This was a legitimate question.
Yeah, but you chose which questions to put in the run sheet.
I put all the relevant ones in there.
Mitch has put in, what's your super coach rank, Mitch? So I'll
People want to know how the super coach is going
Mitch tells
here.
everyone how good he is.
So I'm ranked at 772 currently. That's actually been sliding the last couple of weeks. I think it was up at about 400 at the best points.
Why are we doing a fantasy podcast?
That's what I said. I said a couple of weeks ago when I dropped to 15,000 in AFL Fantasy and I've jumped up to 400 in Supercoach. But
I'd be bloody useless as tits on a ball if we did a
Look, the difference
podcast.
in Supercoach is that I started with Nick Dacos and I started with Tim English.
Is it?
That's
just
like
crazy,
literally the difference in my side.
Crazy.
Versus Hayden Young and a Joe Witts. It's honestly the difference in my side, and it's the difference of thousands of ranks. But going pretty well. Hoping to get a decent upgrade this week. I'm holding Will Day, which hurt me last week, so I had to field a rookie score there. But
I can't believe we've even entertained that question. That can't happen again.
Yeah, well, just got to give the people what they want. And they obviously want to know how the big dog's going.
One person, my days. This is sickening.
All right.
Okay, next question. Jimby to Baker to put in the forward line via DPP. Can we trust Baker? Richmond fans, don't ask us. We're so biased.
Yeah, I keep saying no, and he keeps pumping out big scores.
You can trust Liam Baker to be the absolute best football player in whatever role Damien Harvick puts him in, and that's the issue. Yeah. Is
there's no Hayden Young about Liam Baker. This guy is doing everything to 100%.
Effort is 100%, and if he is in a role where it's conducive to scoring, he will score 122 and he'll eke out every last bit of his talent. But if he's put in a role where the scoring is not conducive to scoring, then get ready to cop a 60
So look at his score so far this year. Round 155, then he's gone 100, 110, 79, 122. So 3 scores tunning up this year, 2 scores under 80. He's priced at 728, so he's just around that Stewart, Lockie Whitfield, Zeeble price tag, all around that sort of area as well. If you're looking for a forward as well, Zach Butters is 30k cheaper as well. So I would be probably going to any of those guys ahead of a Butters.
I'd love to chip.
It'd be great. It'd be good fun if you've got if your girlfriend's got a team, maybe advocate for that one. It'd be a fun watch.
Hey, you can't be sexist on the podcast, mate.
Or your boyfriend, or your partner, or your mum, or if you've got a second team on the side there, and it's a bit more of a loose
team on the side.
It's a bit more of a loose team.
I see where this narrative is going.
If you've got a bit more of a loose squad, then he might be a fun pick.
Looks like the ball might spend a little bit of time back there as well. For old Bakes.
The way that we're going. So. I still think there's other options there. I mean, I could be wrong, and I've been wrong thus far. He's been great, but probably couldn't go there.
JJ or Jones?
JJ or Jones. The Jones pick is another weird one. It's not one that I've been across too much, but he's come into the side, played the first game against Port Adelaide, 33%, so he must have been a sub then, scored 33, and then he's backed it up the last 2 weeks with 85 and 108, playing in defence, I think. Or on the wing, or something like that. But I just don't know if I can trust it. He's priced at 486k, so again, you're making money going from Jinby to him.
It's pretty handy. What did you say pumped out? 85 and 100 and something?
85. What was it? Sorry, 85 and 108 against Carlton. But I'd want to have a look at, I think they waxed pretty heavily in that last quarter there as well. So I just don't know if you really want to rely on that.
There'll be some people out there that have watched it more closely than us. So I'd love to hear in the comments if you're looking down that path and you can advocate for exactly why you're doing that. Because
30 in the last, so it's not a huge, pretty even scoring. I just don't think I can go there at this point of the season. I'm trying to get genuine upgrades that I can just lock away, and I know that's an improvement. So of the two, I'd probably go... Oh, shit. JJ's got Bevo to deal with.
Bevo to deal with. Imagine dealing with your coach.
I'd probably still go JJ because I've seen it before. He's averaged 80s before in that role. I know he can do that. Chase Jones is just a bit more of an unknown, and that's a bit scary for me at this stage. So I'd probably still go JJ if you're looking at those two.
This next one, Stocker to Took or Jimby to Dawson. Do you think this one probably depends on what you've already got going in either of those two lines?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's another tricky one because if you were guaranteed that Jinby was playing the full game, I'd go to Took.
Yes.
If there was a bit of hesitancy, we weren't sort of sure if he was going to get managed again or something like that, then I'd probably just lock in Dawson as he's a clear top 3 defender in that role. It looks great. Look, a lot of my answers this week are going to be Took if you put Took in front of me because he's just the number one target for me, and I think Stocker to him is a great upgrade, and just cross your fingers that Jinby's playing a full game and he can get you that 60 or 70, which, Stocker could do as well. And I think in terms of value, what's Dawson now priced at? Priced at 103. So there might still be a little bit of upside, but I don't think it's much anymore. Because I think, we keep saying this, but he's going to definitely attract attention at some point. But he did look good, didn't he? I'm going Touk still. I think Touk's my guy.
You've got Dawson.
Yeah, but I got Dawson much cheaper than this. So
it's easy to say I'm going Touk. You can't go Dawson.
Yeah,
but
true.
I know what you mean.
So I would try and read the tea leaves again on what Jimby's going to be doing.
A lot of reading the tea leaves.
Lots of tea leaves. A lot of
I
reading.
haven't heard that saying in a long time, but
Twice in the one pod.
Yeah, hey, we get in habits, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Reading the tea leaves.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a different way to say the same thing, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I don't know.
Read the room. Read the vibe. It's just the vibe of the thing.
Pick up on the vibe. Listen to the press conferences. Let's do one more. We're going over time here. I'll throw this one to you. Okay. Sarong, because my answer's easy. Sarong, Kelly, LDU, Touk, or Anderson. I'm assuming that's Noah Anderson.
So your answer.
And I'm assuming that's Josh Kelly.
Yeah.
Or Tim Kelly. Anyway.
Looks like you took my answer away from No, that was just horrible.
Are you as big on Touk as I am? Like, I know I'm gushing over him, but like, what are your thoughts on him versus Josh Kelly?
I think of those guys.
Sarong, we haven't mentioned, who's been amazing.
Yeah, I think of those guys, if I could get to one, it'd probably be Touk. But Sarong, I think, would be a close second. It's like, he's been a beast.
He's been great.
There's this tendency with, especially when it's a player that you haven't really paid a lot of attention to in the preseason, he wasn't one of your picks. There's this tendency, I guess, to be, even if you're not trying to, a little bit of stubborn. Yeah, you don't want to be that guy who gets on and then he underperforms and you were chasing those scores. So I think for the people who started with him, it's just like he's been a winning pick for sure. And it's just, for me, in my boat now, it's deciding, can I get on and still get those good scores, or have I missed the boat and should I go elsewhere? I guess is that tough decision.
Yeah, he's priced at 103.5. Touk is priced at 107. So I think that Touk's going to outscore Sarong by more than 4 points the rest of the way. And he's got the better buy. He's only 30k more expensive. Look, I think Caleb Sarong's probably 105 guy, whereas I think Touk's a 110 plus. He could go on a stretch of doing 120.
He's shown it too. There's comfort there, isn't there?
There is comfort there. So,
should we wrap things up?
I think we should wrap things up.
I think if anyone has any more questions, just chuck them in the comments or over on Twitter. We'll try our best to answer a few questions. I might even try and watch some footy again this week.
Mate, you're feeling good. You've got Dagos on your side.
Jump back on the roller coaster.
It feels nice again.
We'll see.
But yeah, no more Thursday night games.
Hey, that's good.
So when we record on Friday night, we'll actually have all the options laid out in front of us for people to talk about. So
that's what I want to hear.
We'll go a bit more into some trade scenarios and some rankings of priorities and things with the teams named. So make sure you guys check out and join us on Friday night on YouTube Live. We'll probably do that probably around 4 o'clock, I think, now that you're back at work.
Thanks, Phil. 4 o'clock sounds good.
Yeah, all right. So stay tuned. Any updates on Twitter, we'll post them out there. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter. Hit the subscribe button as well. I think we've cracked 1,100 now. So it's just not too long ago we were under 1K. Give this video a thumbs up, guys, and we will see you guys next time. Laters.